Okay, we are on lesson 2.7 today, which is graphing linear equalities. So just a quick review on what that means. So linear just means it's going to form a straight line, and inequality means it's going to have less than, greater than, so maybe it's going to be like x is less than, or it's usually going to start with y, but maybe 4x minus 1. Okay, so instead of an equals, it has this less than, greater, etc. in the middle, okay? So start off just graphing, and I kind of gave you some steps here to follow if you get stuck. Make sure you're going to still rewrite them in slope-intercept form, or solve for y. So in this case, you want y on the left by itself. Just like we did for equations, there's just not going to be an equals, there's going to be a less than, greater, or equal to. Please remember, for inequalities, if you multiply or divide by a negative, that inequality symbol flips, and we'll look at some examples. Okay, we will kind of go through this as we go over the the steps. So 3a, we have right here, x is less than or equal to negative 1. Okay, that one is already solved. There's no more simplifying I can do. It's not really in slope-intercept form because there is no y at all. So that's a little different that way. So x negative 1. Remember, x negatives are on the left side here. So I want to just plot negative 1. All right, it's kind of my starting point. And if I want all of the points on this line to have an x value of negative 1, all going up like this would make that work. If I went this way though, all my x values are changing. So you got to make sure that you're doing a vertical line in this case, all right? So rewrite that. We got step 1 done. We don't need to do that. Plot points if we need. So in that case, so you could plot a couple here. I could just know, okay, that's also x value of 1. That also has an x value of 1. Now connect the points. So here's where we're at. For less than or greater than, you want to use a dashed line. And for less than or equal or greater than or equal, use a solid line. All right, so let's create that. So for this one, that's going to be a solid line. So I connect them. And then last part that makes this really different from in just an equation is you have to shade for inequalities, because an inequality means there's a huge set of numbers that could work. So you got to read your inequality. So it says less than or equal to negative 1. So you want to think, okay, here's 0 and 1 for my x's to be less than or equal to negative 1. This way is positives, so those are going to be bigger than negative 1. This way to the left are negatives though, so that would work. I want to shade to the left on this one. So you just shade your whole graph to the left, because that shows us it includes all of those numbers as well, not just the one. Okay, so we did step 4. Okay, so equations that only provide an x variable make vertical lines. All right, we'll try 4a. It's more in the form we're used to of y equals mx plus b. So instead of an equals though, we have our inequality, okay? So 3 is my m, or my slope, and y-intercept is 1, or my b. So I'm going to start this just like you did for graphing lines last week. So we start at 1, and our slope is 3, so we can put that over 1 if we want. That means we're going to go up 3 and right 1. Or remember, we can do the opposite as down 3, left 1. To fill up our whole graph. So try to fill your whole graph. You need at least 3 points. Oh, sorry, forgot to, got a mess up there. So since this was a less than, I'll look back if you need. Less than, get a dashed line. Usually if I'm doing it on paper, I just go back and erase those, but it's a little harder on the iPad, so I just can do it like that. All right, but I can't forget to shade. So in this one, we are looking at the y values. So it says y is less than this line. So I want to think, my less y's, are they down here or are they up here? Well, the negatives are below, so that means we're going to shade all those negatives. And we shade everything below the line though. So even though over here has positive y values, we're still shading below the line. All right, so in this case, our B, which we already kind of did, I just didn't write down here, B was 1, and M was 3, or 3 over 1. Okay, and then 5A. So this one is not in slope-intercept form, so I have to write it in that form first. So I'm going to write this off to the side. I want to start by adding 2x, because I want the x on the right. Try to put x first if you can before your b. That was a positive 6, so I put plus 6. And then I divide by 3. So that gives me, and I did not divide by a negative. That 3 wasn't negative, so I can keep my inequality symbol this way. So that's 2/3 x, because that is simplest form. And 6 divided by 3 will give you 2. So this is what I'm graphing. So y greater than 2/3 x plus 2. Y-intercept is 2. Slope is 2/3. So that means I'm going to begin at 2. And then I'm going to go up 2, right 3. You can do the opposite of down 2, left 3. Oh, so like I said, in person I always go back and just like erase this line. So I would do it, oh, I'll make my eraser a little bit bigger there. So I just do like this to make it a dashed line. You can do it however you want. If you just want to do dashed lines, that's fine. It's just kind of how I always do it, because I know it doesn't have that or equal to, so it should not be solid. Okay, and last thing to remember to do is to shade. So this one says this means greater than. So that means I want to shade above the line where these y values are getting bigger. All right, so now we're going to use these graphs that we made to answer these questions below. So it says, tell if each of the following points would be a solution to the inequality above by plotting the point and seeing if it falls in the shaded region of the graph or if it falls on a solid line. So write solution or not a solution beside each ordered pair. Sorry, I was yawning. I'm going to say for right solution, let's just put a check. If it's not a solution, you can put an X or no. So for 3b, -1, 4. So I'm going to go up to my 3a graph here. -1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4 puts me right there on that dot. Right there, okay? So it's not in the shaded region, but it is on that solid line. So that means it would be a solution. Yes. 2, -1, so that's 1, 2, -1. Okay, that's not on the line or shaded, so that's a no. -4, 3 is right here, and that is in the shaded region, so that is a yes. Okay, go ahead and take a pause and you try number 4b. Okay, hopefully you're just checking. So all of those actually worked. You can see kind of plotted them up here on my graph, and then they were all within that, so they were yeses. Okay, 5b, so 3, 0, I'm looking on 5a graph, 1, 2, 3, 0 is not there, so no. 0, 4 puts us up here, so that's a yes. -3, 1 puts me in the shaded region, so that's a yes. Oh, sorry, goodness. All right. Oh, just kidding. All right, so that is actually all for today. So make sure you are completing the homework for today and staying up to date with those things. We only have one more lesson before the test. We will have a day built in there for a evaluate day and a little bit of review and then a test review before the test day, okay? All right, hope you have a good day.